Have you ever picked up a book and started reading it and found yourself so thoroughly engrossed in it that you wound up reading the entire thing from cover to cover in just one sitting? This has happened to me on 2 separate occasions. The first was the late Kurt Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle. Now, if you've ever read this yourself, you'll understand why I found it so captivating. The second book was entitled The Boys from Brazil. It was written by the late Ira Levin, who most of you probably know as the originator of Rosemary's Baby. Now, met with the challenge of my ever-diminishing attention span, for these books to compel me to read them from cover to cover in one sitting, they would have to be nothing less than enthralling, and they were. Now, going back to Rosemary's Baby, what I did not know over all these years was that Ira Levin had written a sequel. This book depicts the series of events which takes place in the life of Rosemary after the events which are depicted in the original book and in the motion picture. In this book, Rosemary's character is met with a challenge of her own, to solve an anagram. An anagram, as you know, is a word which has had the letters rearranged so that you have to decipher it in essence. It's not unlike the jumble that you find in today's newspaper. Now, the character in this book who presents Rosemary with this challenge explains to her that it is allegedly the hardest anagram in existence. It is almost impossible to solve. And so she recommends a way to go about solving it. She tells her that what she can do is take an old game of Scrabble and take the little tiles and arrange them on one of these tile stands. And the scrambled up version of this anagram to be deciphered resembles this. ROASTMULES, roast mules, as it were. And as I say, Rosemary is tasked with deciphering this anagram and figuring out what the solution is. Now, if memory serves, she doesn't end up doing this because I can recall in the afterword, Ira Levin wrote the following. Roast mules was laid upon me at a wedding 7 years ago by a man I know only as the father of the actress B.B. Neuwirth. I cursed him for a long time, mildly because of that daughter, but now I'm grateful to him too. The solution to the puzzle is honest and pleasing. Save your postage. Meaning to say, I'm not going to solve this for you. And that, of course, confirms that Rosemary's character does not end up solving it, leaving the reader to solve it for themselves. I followed the recommendation in the book, and I set up these little Scrabble tiles on this stand. And every morning, as I would get dressed, I would rearrange the tiles a little bit more, a little bit more. Yes, I admit that's a very phlegmatic, pragmatic, prosaic approach to solving the puzzle. But I simply could find no other way. There are some times where I'm just not that swift. Eventually, so help me God, I solved the damn thing. I truly did. And it's just as he described it. It was relatively simple and very pleasing. All the more so because I did it by myself. Without any real assistance, except my own persistence. Now, a year or so later, I happened to be visiting with your idiot cousin Dylan on the front porch, and he had his jackass telephone in his hand, as per always, and I was struck with the idea. I told him to look up the roast mules anagram, thinking that anyone else who would have solved it surely would have had the decency, or more to the point, could not conceivably have had the indecency to solve it, and then put the answer out there for the whole world to see. He looked it up after I made sure that he had no intention ever of reading the book and had no interest in solving it for himself. He looked it up, and sure enough, there it was, And sure enough, there was the solution for the whole world to see right there at their fingertips. Now, suffice it to say, that is cheating. But here is what I wish to pound home to you, my punklings and skinlings. Whoever did that, or however many out there have done this, not only did they cheat the puzzle itself, not only did they cheat Ira Levin and his legacy, but above all, and I can't find much pleasure in this, but nevertheless, they've cheated themselves.